Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Buddhist Biohacker. We are live, and welcome to everybody who's joining in the live already. I can see you guys coming in. Just welcome in. You can absolutely use the chat box to the right to share your questions, comments, shares, stories, anything that you feel called. We would love it. We love all the interaction, so please feel free to share. And I am your host, Lisa Gunshore, as always, with the Buddhist Biohacker. And I'm really excited about today. This is one of our monthly feature installments, which is Herbal Thursdays, Living Holistically with Sheryl Garcia, who's right here. Or right here, I think, on YouTube. I think you're on the opposite side on the YouTube screen. We have invited Julie Ware to come with us, and Jennifer, who is the motivational eater, to join us as well. And we thought it would be really fun to get the four of us together and really talk about what it means to live holistically. So I'm pretty excited about today. And so I just want to go around, and we're going to have each of you ladies share a little bit about who you are and what you do, because that is part of why we're talking about living holistically. So I think what we'll do is we'll go Jennifer, and then Julie, and then Cheryl, if we want to go in that order. And I guess I'll just say, you guys know me. I'm Lisa Gunshore. I'm the host of the Buddhist Biohacker, but I'm also a functional Ayurveda practitioner and a Great Plains clinician. So my passion is about biohacking and data analysis in conjunction with the Ayurveda lifestyle and living holistically and as naturally and with as minimal supplementation as possible. So for me, it's about intuitive diet and natural detox. And so that's why I'm part of this conversation. And so go ahead, Jennifer, share yourself with everybody.
Hello, everyone. First off, thank you, Lisa, again, for allowing me to be a part of such an amazing conversation. I'm really excited to be here with everyone. I am Jennifer Duperval, also known as the Motivational Eater on Instagram and also on YouTube and Facebook. And my passion is nutrition and holistic living. So I am a lifestyle consultant, and I show people how they can make small changes to their daily lives, whether it's in eating, showing about mind, body, and spirit alignment, all to help you live a healthier and more holistic life.
Oh, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. I was blown away by your presentation in the summit, and I was like, we have to talk more.
Thank you.
Yes. Julie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Julie Ware. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Cheryl, for the invitation for Herbal Thursdays. I was so excited about this all week, so I'm really excited to get to talk with you guys about everything. I am an Ayurvedic health counselor, as well as an Akashic record consultant and teacher. So I teach others how to connect with their soul, looking into past lives, looking into whatever it is that people may need for healing. And my purpose is to help others find what type of healing resonates with them, whether it's herbs or oils, whether it's soul release and healing, whatever that is. We get our messages in so many different ways. So I am also known as My Heart Leads on Facebook, Instagram, and my website is myheartleads.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm excited to have you here too. We had a great Ayurveda conversation, except for my sound that was not so great on my microphone. But it was a really great conversation. And so I'm happy to have you here too, of course. And Cheryl, everyone knows you because they've been watching Herbal Thursdays, but share anyways.
Yep. I am Sheryl Garcia. I'm Colorado Herbalist. My website's coloradoherbalist.com. And so I'm an herbalist, and I am in the vitalist tradition. So I look at people to help them using, looking at the body, mind, and spirit. So that's kind of the holistic part of it. I'm also a spiritual reader using tarot to help people guide them through their challenges and their choices and stuff. And so when I come at the herbalist part, using the herbs and the plants and stuff, I also look at the emotional part and the their lifestyle and their experiences to work with that too. So that's it.
Awesome. Well, as always, I enjoy our time together. Cheryl and
Yes,
I
I love it.
doing collaborations for quite some time now, so it's always nice. I look forward to Herbal Thursdays, and I feel like we just did it too, so it's kind of funny how fast time flew, actually. Isn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
I love getting together.
Me too. And so I want to start out, really talking about what does it mean to live holistically, and why are you living why are we even having this discussion? Like, what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to live holistically for everybody who's listening and tuning in? And again, you guys that are joining in the live, you can use the chat box if you have questions throughout this, because I think this is one of those topics where there's definitely quite a few questions about what we're doing and how we're living, and things that will come up as we talk. So, let's start with you, Jennifer, if you want to share, what does it mean to live holistically? Why are you living holistically?
Okay. So for me, let's see. I mean, holistic just means embodying everything. So for so long, I would think of everything separate. Which is why now I've made it a mission to make people realize that in health, we have to consider the three: the mind, the body, and the spirit, because the health of the three of them are so important in our overall well-being. When one is off balance, then it affects the other two being off balance. And so living holistically is having a healthy mental status, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves mentally, whether that's through prayer, through meditation, or however it is that you need to take the time to make sure that you're functioning well mentally. And then physically, what are we feeding ourselves? Are we exercising to make sure that we're taking time to excrete those toxins out of our body? Are we learning about our bodies and where it is that we've come from, because that also takes an impact on what it is that we're supposed to be eating. And then also spiritually, as I said in my previous talk, just in taking care of yourself physically, there's that whole spiritual aspect to it. And once you open yourself up to it, it's just like this rabbit hole that you continue diving into. And so spiritually, making sure that we have that spiritual connection with our higher being, however it is that we view that being to be, whether you're Christian, you're Buddhist, or whatever it is that you are. That is holistic living to me.
I love it. What drew you to holistic? What's your story about why you stepped into this journey?
So it was a dual thing. Dual in the sense that there was physically things that were going on with me, from me having a benign lump in my breast at only 12 years old, and finding this on my own, and having to deal with that. And then in addition to that, there was also the spiritual journey of it. So I was raised Christian. I still consider myself to be a Christian, but I've always felt this connection with God and with a higher being, and always wanted to know more about where I come from, and how all of this works, what this life is all about. And so I decided to just go on this journey of truth and finding out what the truth is about life. And so in that journey is how I came into this world of holistic living. And so on this journey, it's been very healing in, you know, getting that lump removed surgically, and also learning about the things that I'm supposed to be eating. And then also as I've gone to different holistic practitioners, alternative practitioners, just learning new paradigms and new frames of thought. And so all of that has just opened my mind up to how everything is just so connected. I'm sorry, I hope I answered the question.
You did.
Yeah.
That's so great. Julie, what about you? What's living holistic mean to you, and how did you find your way to it?
So that's a great story, by the way, Jennifer. Very inspiring and very early exposure, I would say, you know, from a very young age. So it's really great to hear that. For me, living holistically is all about, when I picture this in my mind's eye, I picture just a full circle, and then I have different sections for different parts of my life. And I think about, with that foundation, or with that circle, there's a foundation. And when we set ourselves up with a strong foundation and a firm place to stand, we're grounded, then we operate so much better. And I would say living holistically for me it's definitely food, because as a ultra sensitive person and empath, you know, I absorb absolutely everything. So everything that comes into my body has an impact on me, unless I'm, you know, actively standing strong in my foundation. You know, I feel it more or less, just depending on what's coming in. So for me, holistic is about food, it's about water, it's about music, it's about all of those other things coming in to all of my senses. So feel, touch, taste, and smell. What is the best way for me to operate in this world and get a steady foundation? And for me, it's living holistically and as close to natural as possible. Doesn't mean that I don't love Doritos or pizza or, you know, some of that fun stuff every once in a while. It just means I know for me personally that I need to balance that with the pure water, with electrolytes. I need to balance the proteins, and I need to really have a lot of green in my life. But it also means I need to get outside, be in a natural environment, be away from the lights of the city, and really be as close to nature as possible. So that's what it means for me. And the reason, it's been kind of a journey to get here. I think that the first inklings of it, you know, I've always had this affinity for being outside and playing outside. And growing up, I have a brother 3 years older. He was always, you know, he was in Boy Scouts, he was outside. He was very natural and always drawn to camping and that sort of thing. And I wanted to do everything he wanted to do. But there was a natural affinity for it as well. And when I had anxiety, panic, and depression in my early 20s, I didn't want to do prescriptions. So I went to teas and supplements, just vitamin supplements rather than pharmaceutical. So one of the first gifts, and I talked about this in our last conversation about how I got here, this was one of the first books that was gifted to me by my brother, and it's Herbs and Spices, Healing Herbs and Spices. And it was, you know, I went to that book for absolutely everything. And then it, you know, life went on. I kind of got out of the natural life and then got back into it when nothing else worked. Nothing else worked except cleaning out my body, cleaning out the media, you know, making sure that I move the energy on a regular basis and really get as close to nature and earth as possible.
Love it. Cheryl, what about you? What's living holistically, and what made you step into that?
So living holistically is, I think it is a journey. it is what everyone said about just making sure it's all parts of you. And I'm still, when I say, am I living holistically? I'll say no, but yet I am. So it's making sure that you're taking care of your mind, your body, and your spirit, that you're not forgetting to get outside, that you're watching what you're putting in your body, that you're drinking enough water and that it's clean water, and that you're meditating or praying or doing art or something that connects you with spirit. It's all of that. And but when I think about it, I'm like, that's just who I am, but I'm still not great at it. So when I was growing up, I didn't grow up in the best of homes. I was sick a lot, so I was hospitalized a lot. And so I knew, was drawn to the medical field because I was in hospitals a lot and thought it was really cool. But yet I had family that was very open to alternative medicine stuff, which back in the 70s and even the 80s was not like it was today. My aunt went to a, the hippie store, which was not Whole Foods. It was a dark, vitamin store thing, the long-haired guy, things like that. And then, so I was open to all this stuff, but yet really hooked on the medical part. And whenever I needed to escape my home or anything, I would go out in the woods. I loved trees and water, and that was my escape and still is. I loved art and crafts, and but when you're a child, you don't realize that's part of holistic living. When I hit the rebellious years, I of course did none of that and went, into the good drugs and alcohol. And so then as I grew, I ended up with, as I went into adulthood, ended up with a chronic illness, and was trying to, and ended up in a job in the medical field, go figure. So trying to feel better and have it not working with the medical field and trying to raise children to be healthy, then you start thinking differently about your food and what you're doing and what you're teaching your children. And so that's kind of how I progressed. Luckily, I managed to raise 3 healthy children despite myself, and ended up in a bad home life again, which culminated last year. And I go to this point because this is where it really kind of came to a head for me. And I was trying to keep my sanity and my health in a bad situation. And I was told at every turn that, well, you can't afford to eat this way, or you're stupid for eating this way, or we can't afford this water filter, not kidding, or something like that. So needless to say, left the home situation, got out, was under super amount of stress, and was finally living on my own again. So I started taking control of my food, my water, started meeting with people who were helping me with my emotions and a proper way of dealing with that, and dealing with my trauma in the past, and still doing that. And so holistically now is knowing, for me, having control and knowing what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, that when I'm feeling a certain way, going outside in the woods, painting a picture, writing it all in a journal, or calling someone. It's also knowing the people that I do not want to associate with anymore. it's all of that, and just knowing how to be healthy in all those ways, because if you're holding in the anger stuff, you're going to be physically sick. If you have a chronic illness and you're not eating well, or you're holding in the emotions, it's going to get worse. And that was a long talk about how I got here. But that's why holistically, when I think about it, it's been such a journey and taken so much work for me, because I had to come out of a lot to get where I am. So I'm thinking, am I really living holistically? But I am, because I remember what it was a year and a half ago, and how unhealthy I was in all ways. And taking the little steps I have to get here, I'm a lot healthier too. So.
Thank you for sharing, Cheryl. I mean, that's brave courage. So thank you for sharing. And for all three of you, really, I mean, there's a reason I brought us together, and having all three of you share your experiences just makes it all the more clear, I think, probably to all four of us, why we're here in this space together to talk about living holistically. And I made some notes while you guys were talking, and all three of you, said, body, mind, spirit. And it's so true. And so for me, living holistically is understanding the links between the three, and understanding that you can't just lose weight by going on a diet. That weight has energy, that weight is baggage, that there's trauma from that weight, and there's the physical need to release fascia, as much as there's the physical need to eat healthy, as much as there's the need to work with the emotional space and the spiritual space, and how it all interconnects. And my journey was truly that. I found my health journey through my spiritual journey. And so working as a psychic medium and working with people's energy, suddenly I became aware I needed to work with my energy and heal myself. And in working with my energy, suddenly things started to happen in my life organically, that it was like, oh, I have to change my diet, and, chronic illness and pain, and starting to look at the energy of it made me realize that there was actual things that needed cleared out in my physical space that were part of that emotion and that energy. And so I want to talk about that, and I'm just going to open it up to you guys, and let's just talk about it. But I really wanted to get into toxic burden a little bit, because toxic burden, you guys mentioned relationships, you mentioned food, you mentioned the emotional space, the media. I mean, there was a lot of mentions of different things, because toxicity comes from different places. And so I just want to open it up to you guys. Like, what do you think about toxic burden? What's up for you in toxic burden currently? Like, where are you at with all of that? Because it's definitely, that is the thing that's causing weight and inflammation and stress, but it's also what's affecting our third eye and our pineal glands, our endocrine systems, our ability to have these multi-sensory experiences. All of this is coming from toxic burden. So I'm just going to open it up to you guys, whoever wants to go first, and let's just have a conversation about it.
Well, the first thing I think about with the toxic burden is, one of the biggest things that I did not think had an impact was things, I kind of took on everything as my fault. I caused it, whatever. And it wasn't until I learned that these outside influences really do have an impact on your health. And living holistically, I mentioned, I had to clean out the media. I had to clear out a lot of things that I was doing. So scary movies, news broadcasts today. There's constant alerts that, just pop up out of nowhere. Even you could turn off all of your electronics, but somehow those alerts still make it to you. So part of my toxic burden just over the last month has really been to consciously and actively work on the fear. There's a lot of fear that's being broadcast, a lot of hate that's being broadcast. Everyone seems to be so consumed by it. You go out to the grocery store once a week and the headlines all focus on a lot of negativity. And it's a conscious and active daily practice to make sure that I find something super funny, that I look at all the puppies and kitties possible, you know, all of the crazy videos. I spend time with my dog. I talk with my dog because, you know, she's not affected by the media and some of the stuff on TV. So I notice that when I allow myself to really buy into it and allow it to fester and make its way towards me, that everything else kind of, it's a domino effect. Everything else kind of goes in that direction. So I'll be like, okay, well, the news is horrible, so I'm gonna order in and get some food from somewhere else and feel really terrible. I'm gonna continue to sleep all morning long and miss the daylight because why would I go outside? So it's a conscious effort to make sure that I remove that toxic part from my life. And I'll admit, you know, I've definitely liked to spend some time in that ugly, dark place, but I know that I do want to make that choice every day to be happy. And I feel like that's what sets up my foundation to be functional and happy in this life. And then I can keep everything else on track when that foundation is firm. So that's my toxic story and toxic load from the past, you know, couple weeks. So.
I love that, Julie. That is so true. I remember at the beginning of all of this, as this awakening was occurring, and just my husband loves to watch the news, so he always had it on. And I'm an empath as well, so I literally would feel all the energy just draining out of me every day. And I even have a picture that I had just like taken of myself just laying there. And I have my baby that I'm breastfeeding. So he's sucking energy from me physically. And then the news is sucking energy from me with all of that fear. And it got to a point where I was just like, no more news. Absolutely no more news. I cannot continue to do this to myself. And once I made that conscious decision, I mean, I literally began to see how things turned around for me. I started focusing more on being creative. So preparing meals, finding different and creative ways of making plant-based meals. I got a personal trainer that works with moms so that I'll be able to exercise from home. I got myself a meditative counselor. And so he speaks with you about, you know, whatever your concerns are, and then gives you different exercises that you can practice from home. So that helps with that whole mental part. So I've literally addressed mind, body, and spirit. And I mean, the sun shines brighter now. Going within and speaking to that inner spirit and to that inner voice, I've learned so much more about myself, and just even learned that the truth is within me and that what I need to know is already inside of me. But from just going and going and going, I never took that time to really connect with my inner self. And so I absolutely love that. I love that. I love that. And to add on to that, I would even say sometimes, unfortunately, in our immediate environment, sometimes our families can be, you know, a toxic burden. I was speaking with someone recently who that was the case, where it just felt like everyone around her had something going on negatively, and they're all looking to her for, you know, assistance and a way to solve the issue. And she's got her own stuff that she can't even address because she's busy trying to address everyone else's stuff. And so I had to let her know those are energy vampires. And so you need to take some time to help yourself first, because you're not going to be able to help others if you can't help yourself first. Like the saying says, you can't pour from an empty vessel. And so, yeah, just taking self-care right now, I think is super, super important.
Yeah, I agree with all of that too. I think more so at this point, it's more of the energy, the negative, positive energy, not taking on the negative, but seems to be shoved at us a lot. I was just sitting here and I always say that my apartment is my little sanctuary, my little, place of serenity. And yet somebody moved in upstairs who is not quiet. And I was thinking that because I can hear the person upstairs right now. So then I feel being tested, how you get in your mind said that it's all against you. I know it's not, but that's why I have, there are people that I have chosen not to be around or talk to anymore because of, I can't take that on anymore. I still go to work in a place where I am put in front of people that are, you would say are toxic, but I have to deal with them. So when I get a choice not to deal with people like that, I do, because I can't take it on all the time. I do not watch the news. I always say I just hit the headline. So if the world's going to end, I at least have a clue. But I can't get into details. I love animal videos because, oh, come on now. Like, that makes my day. I share them. If I'm watching them, I'll share them because everybody's got to laugh. Just stuff like that too. And we're just in such a time, and people are either behaving badly or behaving their best. There's such a split in the way people are reacting to this event that we're in, that I've got to take care of myself first, like you said. So that burden, I can only take on mine and my immediate family, which is my children. But at least them, I can tell them, look, this is how it is, because that's what they expect from me. Other people I can't. So we're going to have to separate here. More than the 6 foot rule, we're separating. But I agree with all of that. Take care of yourself first, and you have to know your boundaries. You have to know if this person really needs to be further from you for your own peace of mind and serenity.
Yes.
And then you can deal with other things in your life and your body when you've got the clear head and you're in that space. Yeah.
So true. So true. Well, and it's interesting that the toxic burden discussion has changed so much than maybe what we would have talked about 6 months ago.
Yeah. 6 months ago, it probably would have been the food or something, but.
Yes. And now it's the media and the relationships.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but when I think of toxic burden, one of the things I think about is that moment when you start to clear everything out, like when you are clearing the food out, the wheat and the dairy and the glyphosate and all these things. And I had a real interesting couple of years where my friends and some of my family, where your social community, your social circle, was really had a huge aversion to what you were doing. Did you guys notice that, where it was and there was this weird, well, can you eat here? Can you eat here? It was they were so concerned about what you were doing. And it was so obvious that they needed to look at what they were doing, and that was the journey. But there was definitely this point in time, and I've noticed that my community has changed. When you talk about that split reality, my community's changed. So the people I'm with, it's not so much an issue anymore. But there was that moment where you start to pull apart from the unconscious behaviors, and there's this weird toxicity of if you do want to go out to a restaurant and be social, if you're ordering different things on the menu, if you're making different decisions, there was almost this kind of wall or attack. Did you guys feel that?
Yeah.
Well, I have a son who, when I quit eating gluten, which has been, a year and a half ago, I know, he was and I'll call him out. If you watch this, it's you. He knows who he is. He would say stuff, and he still does. Oh, you mean the thing that only 0.1% of the population has celiac disease? And I'm like, no, the thing that my system just doesn't like it. Like, he would be condescending and like he was being a snot. Let's just put it that way, being nicely, not using any cuss words. And he still does that. And I have my supervisor will buy food for her employees. There's like 4 or 5 of us. Pizza, donuts, cupcakes. I don't get anything. Now, I will say I have a friend at work who came to our place of employment for a while because some of the places were shut down. So she came over to work with us, who just started going gluten-free. And I was trying to help her. My supervisor bought her the food. This is a race thing. She's Black. I'm not. She bought her the food. Go figure. I'm just saying my supervisor needs help. But it's stuff like that. I have a friend who said, I'm not going to cook for you because I don't know how to cook without using gluten. I'm like, what? Like, you just cook. Just don't use flour. Like, yes, all the time. All the time. So I don't understand. I said, you just use it as an excuse not to do something. Like, it's not that hard. It's really not hard. Just don't buy a cupcake. I don't know. Buy me a fruit basket. It's not hard, but yes. But when your own family does it, that's hard. I went vegetarian, well, I am again, but I went vegetarian years ago, and it became an issue in my marriage, which, looking back on, that tells you how bad that was. But it shouldn't be. So if you're ever trying to make healthy changes for your health or your family's health, and it becomes a situation where you're being degraded for it, where they're saying this is causing a problem in our marriage, it's not. You need to stand up for your beliefs and your intuition on your health or your children's health, because there's something else going on, and just don't give up on it, because that did happen to me. And clearly it was not me being a vegetarian. I'm just going to say that. But yes, just stick with it, because your health is way more important than somebody's feelings. So.
Yeah, I think I've had different experiences with food. And it's funny because, I do have a day job, and the day job, we're often, you have catered lunches, you go out to dinners, you do some other things that, I always say to clients and people that know me, I feel like I live in 2 different worlds. So I was always trying to keep one foot in for the day job, and then I have the life that I live, that's more truly me. So I feel like I've had a lot of support from my family. And when I make those changes, Cheryl, I had a similar relationship when I first went vegetarian. I'm back to eating meat, but for a while I go through long periods of not eating meat. And there was one relationship where he was just so against it because his sister was a vegetarian, and it was really annoying at meal times to eat with a vegetarian. And it's like, it's kind of a funny thing, because it's like, that has nothing to do with your meal. It has nothing to do with the way you live your life. It's my choice. So that was a challenge. And it's often more of a challenge because there are so many convenience foods that are provided with catering and that you get at these business lunches. And if you ask for vegetarian or gluten-free, I have a friend with celiacs that she would get a bowl of lettuce, just a bowl of iceberg lettuce as a gluten-free meal. And then of course there would be this giant buffet of like cookies and breads and, you know, different sodas and drinks and stuff. And so like I said, I feel like I've been really supported by my family and they're okay with the choices, but because so many other things are less expensive and in a group environment, you know, we tend to go towards those convenience foods like diet soda, you know, gluten full products and some other things. But it's definitely a challenge when you're out there, and it can be really hard to stick up for yourself sometimes. That when you just want to fit in, like you don't want to rock the boat, but you know, when you know what works for you, then it won't be any problem. And I encourage people, you know, stick up for yourself. It is kind of a pain, but the more you stick up for yourself and stand in your power, I feel the more people are going to come to your aid and, you know, make it more comfortable for you and make it more enjoyable for you as well. Because food and this holistic living, it is about community. It's about knowing what other people need and being aware that not everybody has the same needs and wants, and vegetarianism is okay, meat eating is okay, and we all have our own choices. And I think that's another part of holistic living, that what works for one doesn't always work for another, but we can all be open, you know. So
Yeah.
There's a word that you said there, which is power. And that's the word that stuck out to me because with eating, when I decided to change my eating, that was one of the things for me, was taking my power back because I felt like as I would fast in the beginning, there would be periods where it would just be so difficult. And it made me realize how much I thought about food. And so it's like, wait a minute, do I have control over my stomach, or does my stomach have control over me? And so regaining that power so that as I am making decisions about what I'm putting in my body, I'm being intentional about what I'm placing inside of me. And people didn't understand that. And so for me, it was mostly family, because in my family, most people, they eat everything. There is no filter. And so it was just like, oh, what are you doing? Well, why do you have to do that? Oh, you were raised this way and you've been fine this whole time. And I'm like, but no, I haven't. You have hypertension. You have diabetes. You have a leaky gut. So no, things aren't fine. And just the fact that you don't see that just shows how blinded you are. And so as I was on that journey and people started to see the changes that were occurring with me, then the tables turned and it's like, oh, well, what do I do for this? Or what do you suggest I eat here or there? So yeah, there was two sides to it. I also did have some friends and family who were like super supportive. They were excited. I was like the test subject to see how everything went, because if it went well with me, then they would hop on board. So there was that part of it too.
Yeah, well, and there goes back to the body and mind and spirit space. Is there's a lot of inner work involved with stepping into that power, just like all three of you are talking about. Like, I think I still have a hard time even accepting the compliments of somebody, like going to an event and having somebody make gluten-free for me. Like there's an awkward feeling to that too. It's like awkward if you can't eat anything. It's awkward if somebody is doing something for you. I love what you guys are talking about too, with like going to the corporate events. Like I've been to barbecues and potlucks and things like that, where it's like, okay, I've got to pack, I've got to pack some food because I'm going to this event full of food that I can't eat. And I'm wheat and dairy free because of my food allergies. And you can't, even when you go to a restaurant that has a gluten-free dessert, it's full of dairy, or if it's full of, it's like there's no solution. And that sucks. So it's like, when I can go to a place that has like a flourless chocolate cake for dessert, which I who knows if we're even going to go to a restaurant anymore. I mean, that's a whole other thing, but it's like, is it full of dairy? Is it full of wheat? You know, so there's all these, it's like all this tangled up emotional stuff of like, I've got to take care. It's like you're forced to take care of yourself and to have boundaries. That's uncomfortable. When they are trying to take care of you, that's uncomfortable. So there's all this inner work like tangled up in trying to keep healthy. It's like so crazy how programmed we are to like taking in these processed convenient foods. And like, I've like looked at the convenient foods that are healthy. Like I have some certain brands of gluten-free crackers that I love that are gluten-free and non-GMO and don't have dairy. And I think, well, shoot, even that, like, I'm starting to even go beyond that now with like, I really need to make everything myself, and I can. So, you know, why am I choosing this convenience? And that goes back to even the beginning of the conversation of talking about like, you know, the media, or like Jennifer, you're talking about, you know, having your baby there, like where you're just tired. It's like, I'm tired of cooking, and I'm in a place right now. So, you know, every other week there's 6 of us in the house, and every other week there's me and my husband. So I'm in this space where I'm like doing this rotation, and I've noticed like, I'm just sick of doing dishes and cooking. As much as I love it, I'm like, I'm sick of, you know, and so now I'm having to like ask for support from the family. Like, are you guys going to do the dishes? Because I'm like cooking all the meals and doing all the dishes and cleaning all the stuff up. It's just this endless cycle. And so not to like vent about it, but it is like just all the things you guys are talking about is like making me think about like where I'm at with it right now. Cause it's like, I love to cook. I have my culinary degree, you know, I know how to cook free of allergies and all those things, but you get exhausted of it too. And then there's all the emotional turmoil with it. Oh God, I screwed up. I had Tokyo Joe's. I should have cooked for myself. I shouldn't have gone to the restaurant. Oh my gosh, it just could go on and on.
You're but not I think that's Lisa. That's so true. I'm there right now too. I'm sorry, Julie, really quick. Like I have been at a point for this week where grocery shopping I have not done, and I have literally just been ordering falafels. Falafels and quinoa every day.
But that sounds so good.
So I'm like trying to be intentional of, even if I'm eating out, making sure that it's still something that does have some nutritional benefit to it. But yeah, like I'm sick of it, right? I need a break.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think that's the perfect example of holistic living. You do have quite a few examples. We get so many examples of people that look like they live the perfect holistic life. And I would beat myself up so bad when I would, you know, just do something like one day I wouldn't do my essential oils, and I would use Clorox instead of like my essential oil spray. But I think that's a major component of it. We have this intention to live the majority of our lives in this holistic way, the right food, the water, you know, the great influences in our life. And I think we sometimes forget that we don't have to do it perfectly, but we can have the falafel. We can have, you know, we can leave the dishes and, you know, do whatever. But I think that's one of the things about holistic living that I always tell clients is that you don't have to do it 100%, 365 days of the year. It's the intention of living a better life and creating that holistic life for yourself that works for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that's something I always have to remind myself of, and that others usually have to remind me of as well, is like, it's okay. Like one person told me, have 3 things as a goal for yourself. And if you do those 3 things for the day, then you've accomplished your goals for the day. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. And I think we as women, we do tend to do that. We're trying to do it all, you know, and be great at it all. But just taking some time out to just relax and, you know, Smell the roses.
It makes me think what you're saying, Julie, about not being perfect. Like part of Ayurveda is that you accept that you're imperfect, and part of the practice of Ayurveda living is that your body is not going to be this perfect, diseaseless thing, and that instead it's about living in balance with the imbalances and the imperfections. And that's one of the things that really drew me to it, because it gave me permission to accept I'm not always going to be well, but how do you balance your body so that you are well? And we have actually some great comments and questions here, so I want to throw them out, and thank you guys for who participating and sharing, because we love this, and I think this is a great conversation. And one of our comments is, this conversation makes me think about how I stopped going on dates involving food with anyone who is not plant-based because I don't want to be a big pain, which is interesting. And there's a lot to say about that. We also have somebody who says, who wants to shop with a mask on? And somebody who says, question, please talk to shielding yourself. And so thank you guys for these questions and comments. And so you guys can address any of those. I think for me, the dating thing, I'm married now, but I definitely dated during this time. And it was really complicated because I got worried about seeming high maintenance. It was like, ooh, I don't want to feel high maintenance. And, you're trying to make this impression. And then I kind of pushed through that. And it was like, you know what, like, this is just who I am. You either deal with it or you don't deal with it. So you like start out with this like, oh, I don't know. So that definitely hits home with me saying that, because it is a thing. And I remember like when I met my husband saying like, he asked where I wanted to go. And I said, well, here's some options, because I have 22 food allergies. Welcome. Yeah, if you guys want to speak to either the dating thing, the shielding too is a good one to talk about. So
I would like to speak to the dating thing. For me, for anyone that would feel offended to the fact that you're eating a plant-based diet, just speaks to where they're at internally. And so it's just like, why would that be an issue, to me, that doesn't make sense. And like I said, it just speaks to whatever issues that they might have going on. And that right there just lets you know that maybe that's not the person for you. This also sparks an idea that maybe just like how they have all of these different dating websites that cater to certain people, maybe there should be a plant-based dating website.
Oh my God. That's a great business idea. We should get on that.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. And, I'd like to add to that and say that the food part, the plant-based part, that's just one part of yourself. But at the same time, could also be a really fun way to introduce it to somebody else that maybe they're open to it. Maybe they want to learn about it too. And it kind of gives them something to, ponder in any other aspect of dating. But, as anything, when it's not fun, don't do it. I mean, that's kind of one of my mantras, even though I don't always follow it, but I would say it's just like one part of yourself. And if there's somebody who you're attracted to, go for it, because it could still be fun and a really great learning experience too. So, and I do have a comment on the shielding part. I go out infrequently. So and I'm in California. So California is, really locked down, and they have been for a while. So I wear a mask wherever I go. But I also, sometimes use hand sanitizer, and I have one that's, for sensitive skin. But the one thing that makes me feel really good about being outside is I do this little spray blend of either On Guard or Thieves, an essential oil, and some water. And then I spray this cloud around myself, and then I kind of feel like I'm protected. But I also smell those wonderful spices in that oil. So I'm automatically feeling good about it, which is a protection in itself. So, I try to just, like I said, don't think about the media. I think I'm protecting myself. I want other people to be healthy. So I wear the mask, I spray myself with the cloud, and I feel good when I'm going to the store, get in and get out. So I know it might be different for other people, but I like oils for immunity. So.
Good idea.
My baby's supposed to be starting daycare, and I actually have the On Guard. And so I was joking with a friend about how he's going to be lathered in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he starts daycare. Absolutely. Essential oils are definitely a must for me, whether it's thieves or the On Guard, on the soles of the feet, on the hands. And then for the mask, I always feel like, if you're going to be inside of a building, yeah, you put it on, you get in there, you get what you need. And once you come outside, if you're not within close proximity of someone, you can always pull that down off of you. When you're in your car, there's nobody else in there with you, you can take the mask off. Fresh air is definitely important. So it's about being smart and using it as needed.
Cheryl, what about you over there?
Well, I wasn't probably gonna say anything. I work in a medical clinic. I wear my mask. I don't want to get sick, and I don't want to get anybody sick. I love thieves, by the way. One of my favorite things. My kids had it when they were little, and they are in their 20s now. So I'm one of those, probably the oddball on here. I don't mind wearing a mask in public. I don't trust people. So I don't trust that the people there are not sick, the ones not wearing their mask. So I would prefer to wear my mask to make sure I don't get sick. I also want to make sure that I don't get somebody else sick, just in case, because I do work in a medical facility. So that's just where I stand.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, so she's saying energetic shielding, so that's good to know, so we can address that. But my opinion on it is it's a tough thing because our immune systems operate by connecting with our environment. So we have to connect with our environment, but we also, if we're going to engage in the linear reality, we have to engage in the linear reality. So, my opinion is much like all three of yours, which is, when I go out, I engage in linear reality. I'm going to put the mask on, I'm going to go. And for me, it is energetically difficult for me to do that. And it's because of the negative agenda and what I see happening from it. And so I was just talking to a potential guest this morning about this, and actually it was a really good conversation because honestly, you guys, when I go out, I just take that in. I let the energy attack me. I let the negative energy hit me. And I focus on integrating and transmuting that energy. So when you're asking about energetic shielding, and maybe you're talking about energetic shielding even within, like, how do we deal with people, stressed out about our own behaviors, and we can address that too. But for me, it is difficult to be in linear reality right now for me. And as a sensitive and an empath and a psychic and a healer, and seeing all the big picture and all the programming, and oh my gosh, you could go on. And I think the important thing here is not to focus on that negative stuff, but instead to just take it in and trust that we're taking in those prickly experiences that everybody is feeling right now. All the energy, all the stress, the worry about getting sick, the fear, right? Like all that stuff. And so when I do go out, and I also go out infrequently, I try not to go out as much as possible, but I still, am managing a household, and you've got to go to the store and do things and whatever. But I just take it all in, I take it in, I allow it to kind of go into my space, and I integrate it. I kind of sit with it. How does this feel? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? And I process that through my body. And I allow it to transmute into the light energy. And I really focus on sending as much positive energy back. I try to smile as much as I can. I try to show light through my eyes and really make eye contact with everyone I'm connecting with, which actually probably didn't happen as much as it does now. So there is something about the eye contact connection with people. And so I try to make eye contact with the cashier at the grocery store and make conversation with them and have that exchange of energy and kind of soak in that, they're uncomfortable, and are you going to be uncomfortable with me touching your food to bag your groceries? I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that's running through everybody's heads. And so for me, I just try to take all that in and much like Jennifer said, like as soon as I hit that door, my mask comes off. As soon as I'm away from people, it comes off, because I know that my engagement and interaction with the environment is really important for my immune system to be able to support itself, because what we don't want is for everyone to become sick with a common cold because we've all isolated. So you have to find a balance with it. But energetically, it's really important to actually transmute that energy. I'm actually anti-psychic walls. I'm actually pro let's connect, let's transmute, let's engage in the energy, because that's how we all operate with each other as spiritual beings, as physical beings. We have to have that engagement and that connection. I think it's important for sure. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, is really like, we've got to do what we need to do to operate in the 3D linear reality, but we also have to do what we have to do as starseeds. And all three of you here with me are starseeds, and most everybody who's watching are starseeds. And as starseeds, part of our job is to transmute all of this and to clear this space until these programs diminish and we can step into, the new reality in a full way. But it's really hard right now. It's hard.
It is. To answer a bit more specifically the person's questions, I don't know if they're also referring to the electromagnetic fields. And if so, I actually recently purchased from someone crystals to help with that. So I can give you the combination that they said, which is black tourmaline, sodalite, SODA, like soda, and then LITE, lepidolite, LEPIDOLITE, amazonite, and smoky quartz.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. And so that combination of stones is supposed to be very good for absorbing all of the electromagnetic fields, because as we know, those as well interfere with our own body frequencies and interrupt our body's ability to really be able to support itself immunity wise. So I have those, and I just keep them like on the dresser. And what we try to do is we'll unplug our cable boxes at night, put our phones in airplane mode, anything that we can do to just try and help to reduce some of those fields so that we can get a better sleep at night.
That's so helpful. Yeah, we unplug our Wi-Fi too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What else? You Lady Julie, Cheryl, you got any more thoughts?
I like the shielding question. And I think that, oils also work when you use those scents to uplift your own energy going out into the world. It's definitely not easy. And I stay home quite a bit, but I think that the intentions that we all have to live that holistic life and be as kind as we can to each other really goes a long way in that protection as well. So that was it.
What about you,
Don't forget
Cheryl?
right now as well to take your vitamins and minerals to boost your immune system as well. So vitamin C is really important. Vitamin D is really important, making sure you're taking your omega 3s those different things, having colloidal silver available to be able to take, those are all really important as well. Having fresh greens every day is really important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, because it's really important for me to get out in sunshine, or at least
Yeah.
outdoors,
Yeah.
and get fresh air, because I don't think I know how to transmute negative into positive. If it's somebody else's, I have trouble with my own. So when I'm at my job, my day job, it's a lot that comes at me. And I actually got out of one department a couple years ago, and because it was too much, I couldn't do it anymore, and moved into a department that was a lot less. But since this whole thing started in March, I think it was March, it has been difficult. So for me to make it through and to be able to not come out an ogre, going outside and spending time outside it really helps. It lifts my spirit and my energy and stuff, so I can well, be nicer to the people, basically, is what it boils down to. But yeah, that's important.
Well, and I think it's important to note too, Cheryl, you made a comment about like being the oddball because you don't mind wearing a mask. And I think, but that's the point, is we're all weird in our own way. And I don't think you should feel like an oddball. I think really, just like the food, we all have to do what's aligned with us. We have to do what feels right to us, and we have to accept each other for that, And so I think it's about taking in the information. I just did a post earlier today, actually, on our community page, because we really, at Buddhist Biohacker, are taking a stand for nonviolence. And I think there's a lot of violent words being spouted off in comments about who's right and who's wrong with what's going on right now. And that polarizing energy is what's creating this split reality. And so I think what you said is actually really important, Cheryl, because it just goes to show, like, we're still questioning our own beliefs and our own values and what we're aligned with. And the goal is for all of us to accept each other's beliefs and what we're aligned with, and be aligned with that, and to ask each other to do some critical thinking rather than pointing out who's right or wrong, because that's the polarization, and that's the opposite of ascension. And so I think it's important to know, like, you are this like 11-dimensional being who has made this really difficult decision to work in an environment that's. And Jennifer, don't you work in health too?
Yeah.
It's hard to
so
see
you
it.
both are these star seeds, and Julie's in IT, God help us. So like, you guys we're all these star seeds, and you've chosen, but being in the medical profession, the two of you have chosen to insert your energy into a very linear space that is a system that isn't necessarily working, which is why you've chosen to live in a holistic manner. But you've also chosen to engage in that environment so you can help change it.
Right.
And that is polarizing. You both are living a split reality right now, and that's not easy. So don't feel like, gosh, like I'm this oddball. Instead, I think, say, you know what, like, it is hard, period. And this is my decision based on what I'm experiencing and what I have to live. Like, there's no right or wrong. The wrong is the judgment and the criticism and the violent acts of verbiage that's going on. And the right is saying, you know what, we love you anyways, and we love you because of it. And we just love, right? And look at how I could never be in the system you guys are in. And so the fact that you're doing it, like, that's your mission. Like, that's an intense mission to have accepted in this life, I feel.
Right. Yeah, definitely. But I definitely connect with what you're saying as well, because that is what I've decided to do, is to be that voice, to let people know that there are alternative options. It's not just, black and white, like how it's usually presented to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff, you guys. I'm looking at our comments here and seeing, and thank you for everybody who's been watching. And I hope you ladies want to do this again. I think I want to.
Absolutely. I love this.
Yeah.
I thought we'd be a good group, and we really are. Like, I just really appreciate, because, even though we all share similar points of view, there's different modalities, different experiences. And I think it's so important to present all of them. Like, that's what I'm passionate about. That's part of what Buddhist Biohacker is about.
And I learned from all of you. I think it's wonderful. And Jen, from your first presentation, I got my water filter, my birthday.
Oh, you got it. Nice.
I got it yesterday. So
awesome. Yay. Awesome.
Well, let's go around. I would love you to share some parting words, and also please share how people can connect with you, because all three of you are incredible healing support for people and offer sessions and all those things. And so I want to make sure we talk about that. And all I'll say is we have a special gift for everybody in our community that you're welcome to join us at Seeker Circle tonight, just as a gift for everybody who's been so amazing, and all of you who are watching. And so if you are interested in participating in Seeker Circle, it's a really great virtual event where essentially we talk about the planet, and I do individual readings. Just email mail, M-A-I-L, at lisamgunshore.com, and we'll get you all set up. And so that's my offer to you guys today. But I'd love to go around, whoever wants to go first, just share some parting words and how folks connect with you. And we'll have it in the show notes too, but I think it's important to say as well.
Julie, you want to go first?
Sure, why not? I think I feel like I graduated recently on this holistic journey, and I've never had any luck growing plants at all. And I felt like I just decided, okay, universe, please help me. And I bought this golden lemon balm plant that started as this little tiny thing, and it's now about this big. And it was one of the most exciting things to watch this little plant grow. So I encourage everyone, even if it's, go to Trader Joe's, get a basil plant, keep it by your window, throw some in your sauce every evening, or, throw it on a salad. But it's been so satisfying to watch something grow. And I feel like that's kind of where I want to go next. And I encourage everyone to do that, because growing, you feel just so much a part of it. And then when you eat that or when you ingest it, it's just such this really clear, fun feeling that you helped nurture this plant. And you can reach me at julie@myheartleads.com. My website is www.myheartleads.com. I have my contact info on there. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and it's the best way to get me.
I'll go next. So you can find me on Instagram. I am the Motivational Eater. You can also go to my website, themotivationaleater.com. And my parting words come from my story. So I talked about the fact that I had the lump that I discovered when I was 12 years old. But I also share about the fact that that grew at a time where I experienced a very big or major failure in my life. Or what I viewed to be a failure. And that's because I was trying to live out what everyone else thought I should be versus living out in my own truth. But it's all been a part of my journey. And so for those that have experienced failure and, you're just feeling stuck and, feeling like you don't know where to go, feeling disappointed or feeling shame, I just want to really encourage people that if it doesn't stop at failure, failure is you not making the effort to continue pressing forward. But if you use it and you grow from it, there is so many beautiful things out on the other side of that. So keep growing, keep pushing. Even in your journey, whether you're trying to be plant-based, you're trying to be pescatarian, whatever it is that you're trying to do, enjoy the journey, focus on the journey, don't focus on the destination. Love and light to everyone. Thank you so much.
All right. So I just want to say, kind of like what Jen did, it is a journey to live holistically. Just, it doesn't have to be a big change. It can just be a little change. I think growing a plant's great. Just little steps, and there is no failure. It's just it's a journey, and enjoy it. I do want to also say, if you are in a dark place or a tough spot, one thing that I've learned this past year that helps is to start a gratitude list. Even if you only write one thing a day that you're thankful for, and it's seriously how good my bed feels at night. One thing, 3 things a day, just keep a list. It starts to help. You see things a little clearer and feel a little better. So you might want to just try that. But so you can find me. My website's coloradoherbalist.com. I do herbal consultations, spiritual readings. I have a blog on there with some really just interesting little tidbits. I'm also on Instagram on Colorado_herbalist, and on MeWe on Sheryl Garcia, just my name. And you can contact me, email me through there and all that. Thanks.
I just want to say thank you to all 3 of you, and for everybody who's listening. I mean, these 3 women, I have come to love all 3 of these women, and they have so much to offer, truly, like within their modalities as healers, as empaths, as guides, as presenters, as writers. All of you guys have articles I've seen, my gosh. So there's so much to tap into here as a resource if you're looking to heal yourself and you're looking to connect in and figure out what's going on in there. So, you know, part of what we do is to give you resources, and these are 3 excellent ones. So thank you, ladies, so much for being on. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited because I want to do more of this, and I think we all have a lot to offer and to continue to teach and share, from recipes to gardening. I also planted my first plant this week for the first time in years.
Hey.
Cheryl's balcony gardening made me think, okay, I don't know, I do have a yard, but I'm not able to plant in it. And so I thought, well, at least I can plant something inside. So I planted 1 plant, and I planted 1 thing of seeds. So we'll see how the seeds, you post it if the seeds grow. Anyways, so yeah, so let's do this again. You ladies want to do this again? I think this will be good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I have lots of ideas. So we will loop back around with that. And thank you to everybody who is listening and watching. I really appreciate the audience. We've had such a great audience today. And you know, somebody commented, blessings, my sisters, you are all most divine. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And more to come with Holistic Living and Herbal Thursdays and all that good stuff. And thank you guys so much. And we're back at 4:30. We're back in 2 hours with Julie Hoyle and Christian Strang. And we're actually talking about getting out of the story. So this was actually a great segue into that for sure. We can be talking about that in a couple hours. So thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.